Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Inside the Wrongful Conviction of Daniel Holtzclaw. Um, I want to welcome everyone who's already tuned in and watching, and those who have given their thumbs up on the like button. The algorithm is doing better. So the better the algorithm does, the better the channel does, which in turn makes the awareness for Daniel's case more popular. So that's kind of the goal with pushing the like button and share button and subscribe stuff and all that. I just need more people to be aware of Daniel's, not so much his situation. I think there's a lot of people aware of the situation, but we need to make it more clear, make the truthful facts more clear to all those non-believers. So hello to all of those who are in chat and or lurking, and hello to the ladies on the panel. Inexplicable Susan, what do you got for us tonight? Anything positive in the news? No?
Oh, sorry, Ron. I couldn't find my unmute button. Positive. Yeah. I don't want to get political here, but let's see. Chad Daybell was found guilty on all charges. Yep. So that's pretty positive, I guess.
Yep. But they're in the death penalty phase right now, right?
Yeah.
Will you survive nasty weather?
Yeah. We just had a heck of a downpour just minutes ago, but yeah, through the weekend, unscathed, unlike many others.
That's good news. Yeah, it's very, very sad for those who had some real struggles, but I'm grateful that my friends and loved ones are safe for the moment. So thank you, Susan. And Sheree, how's your week been?
Pretty good. Pretty busy, but that's good.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yep, I get that.
I want to say hi to everybody and welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you're going to read the part of the court again tonight, yeah?
Yeah, I'll be the nasty judge.
That's okay. Somebody's got to do it. I raised my hand and said I want to read Tabitha's part because I don't know. I think I can pull off her bitchy attitude. Not that Susan or Kay can't. Just feeling it. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, because we know Susan and Kay both have their own little characteristics that they add to what they're reading too. So it's going to be fun. And Kay, you've been in the weather too the last week, haven't you?
Well, I mean, it seems to miss us. So, I mean, the harsh weather, like we were supposed to have. We were supposed to have some severe weather this morning, but it went around us. So that's good. Anyway, looking forward to this one. The courts part is interesting.
Yes. This whole thing is going to be interesting, for sure. So, and Jack, we've missed you the last few weeks, so welcome back.
Thank you very much. Well, late as usual. I was late anyway because I fell asleep. I sent you that message. I fell asleep. I was hurrying to get ready, and then my wife called. She had to go out of town because her cousin in Hobbs, New Mexico, died. Which Hobbs is about 5 miles from the western Texas border. Literally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So one of her brothers are down there now left. mean, he died several weeks ago, but
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, they're down there. There's no more family on that side, so they have to take care of everything.
oh, that's rough. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, please give your wife our condolences again.
I will.
It's tough. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Who is going to read from the screen, the transcript from my screen?
Hey, can you talk for? Sorry, I'm sorry, Ronnie. Can you talk for like 60 seconds so I can get this live rolling on my end?
Can I talk for 60 seconds?
She can talk for 60 minutes.
60 hours. Come on now. Let's just get real with the whole thing. No, I'm, well, all I need to say is, it's hard to describe most of these accusers' stories. All of their stories are pretty bizarre and unrealistic. I used to say that Shardarian Hills was by far the most unbelievable, but it kind of rivals with Kayla Lyles. Hers is just as unbelievable. And then Adara Gardner, all of them are fabricated, but those three are kind of like up there with the most outrageous. I may have come to a conclusion that Tabitha Barnes' accusations altogether might be worse than hers might be the top for me. Just the amount of time I've spent researching her case in the past and then going through the preliminary and trial transcripts the last couple of weeks. It's gross and disgusting what she's done. And it's even more gross and disgusting that with all of the lies and inconsistencies that that were heard during the trial under oath, that the jury still found Daniel guilty on all of the charges except for stalking in her case. But tonight we're going to share that. We're going to start sharing that crazy with all of you, and how long we read tonight is really going to kind of depend on everybody else, because the first part of this is like 42 pages long, and by the time we get through that 42 pages, something pretty drastic is going to happen. And then we'll switch over to part 2 where we will read a couple of witness testimonies. And then beyond that, it's either wait till next week to finish that. I've got a couple of different options. Either wait till next week to finish it, or the panel, record it and premiere it for you before next week. Or, we try to just read through it tonight, but it's a lot of pages, so I don't expect that we're gonna last through all of it tonight. But you're gonna be interested enough that you're gonna be excited for the rest. I'll just tell you that. So, pardon me. With that being said, tonight the readers are going to be Kay is going to read the part of Galen Gigger, if I'm not mistaken. Cherie will read the part of the court. Scott's going to, Jack is going to read the part for Scott Adams. Because I want to share my ugly bitchy side. Not that Kay or Cherie or Susan can't do it, but I just want to do it. So I'm going to read the part of Tabitha Barnes tonight. With that being said, is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm reading from my own screen.
Okay.
Me too.
Cherie, are you okay?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it on my phone.
I know that's a difficult. Well, I'm going to be reading, so it'll keep. I should be able to stay on track with it for the court. Susan is also going to read, but probably not until we start part 2. So she gets to rest for a little bit. Okay, so let's get started, and we'll go ahead and start with the court. Oh, well, yeah. The
Step
court,
right. Okay.
yeah.
Step right before me. All right. If you'll have a seat over here in this chair, once you get situated, pull that microphone right around in front of you. If you would state your name and spell it for us, please.
Tabitha, Tabitha.
And your last name?
Barnes, Barnes.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Giger, you may proceed.
Judge, may I have just 1 second, please?
Yes.
Miss Barnes, do you recall how you were initially contacted in this case?
I was contacted, yes.
Okay, and was that by Detective Gregory?
Yes.
Okay, and ma'am, when you talked to Detective Gregory, you told him about some things that had happened to you some months before that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Why didn't you tell anyone before Detective Gregory came to talk to you?
I didn't think no one would believe me.
We've never heard that one before.
No.
Why not?
I'm a Black female. I don't have anything. Who believed me? I didn't think no one would believe me at all.
Well, I want to turn my attention. I want to turn your attention, ma'am, to talk about a little bit what you told Detective Gregory, all right?
Yes.
Well, specifically, did you talk to him about an officer?
Yes.
And if I can, I want to turn your attention back. Do you remember the dates exactly as you sit here?
No.
Okay. As we've talked about this case, and as you've testified before, you know there is some things we have that show when he was working.
Yes.
You know that? I want to turn your attention back to the first time you remember contact and something inappropriate happened, okay?
Yes.
If I tell you that was in around February the 27th of 2014, does that seem about right to you in your memory?
Yes.
Okay. If you would just, first of all, where were you whenever you came in contact with this police officer in February, specifically the 27th of 2014?
I was in front of my home.
And tell us where your home was located at that time, please.
Northeast 15th and Jordan.
Is that on the northeast part of Oklahoma City?
Yes.
Who lived there in that house with you, ma'am?
Me and my children.
Okay. Can you tell me, I don't necessarily need to know all their names, but how many kids were living there with you?
3.
3 children?
Yes.
And
for a basic competition for cards. It's time
what were their
for
ages?
online.
Somebody's not muted.
Somebody mute.
The premiere Monday at 9 on HGTV.
Can somebody mute? Jack.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. All good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
11,
Okay,
7. Oh, wait, that's not me. And what were their ages?
11, 7, and 14.
And ma'am, at that time, years before, had you been convicted of felony offenses?
Yes.
Had it been more than 10 years ago in your memory that you'd been convicted of felony offenses?
Yes.
All right. Other than 3 children, who else was living with you in that home in February of 2014?
Terry Williams. He would come over after he got off of work.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about Terry Williams.
Terry Williams was my boyfriend at the time.
And were you aware at the time, ma'am, that Mr. Williams had been convicted of a sex offense?
Yes.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, why did you allow Mr. Williams, a sex offender, convicted sex offender, around your children?
Because I did the background on that situation with him and had nothing to do with children, and he was able to come around children.
Okay, so you felt like, at least based on your information, it was okay for him to be around your children?
After I spoke with his probation officer.
Did you ever observe him doing anything inappropriate with your kids?
No.
Okay, it didn't concern you that way?
No. He took care of them.
So you were at your house. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there anyone else living there at your house in February that you haven't told me about? Told me about your children and Mr. Williams, who would come around occasionally. Anybody else
That would come over to my house?
that was living there?
No, nobody living there.
Other people would come to your house as well?
Yes.
What, do you know an individual named Angela Cooper?
Yes.
Who's Angela Cooper?
She was like my best friend.
Okay. Do you recall if she was there the night that you had your initial contact with this police officer?
Oh, yes.
Okay. What were you and Angela Cooper, if anything? Well, let me rephrase. About what time of night was it that you remember coming in contact with this police officer?
Roughly around 11:30 or 12 o'clock
PM?
at night.
At night? Yes, ma'am. PM?
Yes.
What?
No.
What was
It
the
wasn't PM,
occasion?
it was AM. Sorry.
What was the occasion? What was going on that might?
Well, that night we wanted to go to the store, and Angela she was like, "Let's go check my card and see if food stamps had come on, so we can go get some snacks."
All right. Let's talk a little bit about that. You said, let's go check my card and see if her food stamps have come on. In case people don't know, tell me about how food stamps work and the card that you're talking about. What did that mean?
It's an EBT card, and they post at different times of the month.
Okay, it's a renewable card,
Yes.
and they put money on your card?
Food stamps.
Food stamp money?
Yes, yes.
And just people may know, but people may not. Back in the day, they were actually food stamps you could get for food, but now they use an electronic debit card. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. When she said, let's see if there's posted some money on my card for food stamps, what does that mean? Like, what'd that mean to you? Like, how does that work? is what I'm asking. The food stamps. How does it get posted onto your card?
Objection, compound question, form. Oh, come on, stop.
Objection. Fragmented brain cells.
Oh my goodness, excuse me. Well, it all depends on what date and who. Different, different people, what date it come on, and it just automatically deposit
Once midnight hits,
midnight.
is it your experience that money sometimes gets posted?
Yeah, it goes on.
It's done with a computer program, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that why you were going to go shopping so late at night? That's my reason I'm asking you.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing really there, and we was waiting.
Waiting until midnight?
Yeah, we was waiting till midnight.
Okay. So what happens? Tell the jury about it.
Okay. Me, my daughter Zion Barnes, and Angela Cooper. It was ice on the ground, so it was really cold. So my car was parked on the side. It was sitting, so we was sitting in the car waiting on it to warm up. And we facing front of my house. I seen 2 police officers ride by 15 in Jordan. Like, well, didn't think nothing of it. Like, probably 3 minutes later, I looked in the rearview mirror. They went around, all the way around. So 15th, they had to make a right on 16th and come back down 15th.
You saw them again?
Yeah, behind me.
Okay. All right. Now, when you say 2 police officers, I want to make sure I'm understanding you. Do you mean one car with 2 officers in it, or do you mean 2 police cars?
2 police cars.
Okay. So you see them, you're assuming they circle the block or come back around, and you see them again. They're behind you?
Yes.
At this time, are you and Zion and Miss Cooper in a vehicle or in a car?
Yes, my car.
You're in your car, okay. And they pull in behind you. The police officers do?
Oh my God.
One car pulled behind my car. The other police car pulled in front of the house, like right in front of it.
Okay, and then what happened next, ma'am?
We was asked to get out of the vehicle. One officer took Angela Cooper to the car that was in the front of the house. I was asked to get out and get in the car in back of my car, the police car in back of my vehicle.
What about Zion? Oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
Nope.
What about Zion? Where, if anywhere, did she go?
She went in the house.
And why did she go in the house, if you know?
It was cold outside.
Was she told to go in the house? Did you tell her to go in the house, or did she make that decision on her own, or do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know? But you do know she went into the house?
Yeah, well, they came back out, but
Well, if I understand what you've told me, Miss Barnes, so you're in the car that's now behind the other police car. Can you see can you see the other car in front of you?
yes,
Did you see Miss Cooper get in that car?
yes,
The officer who instructed you to get into the car behind you, do you see him in the courtroom?
yep.
Okay. Can you tell me where he's sitting and what he's wearing, please?
Sitting over there to the left with the black coat on.
Okay. What color is his shirt, ma'am?
His shirt looked purple.
Ask the record to reflect identification, Your Honor.
All right, record will reflect that this witness has identified defendant Holtzclaw.
So once he put you in the car, can you tell this jury what happened next, please?
He put me in the car and he ran my name, and I had city warrants.
When you use the phrase run, he ran my name, to you, what does that mean? Because is that something that you're have some experience with police officers?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
What do you mean when they run your name? You're using that phrase. What does it mean to you?
He got on the gadget,
The radio?
the radio, or whatever he's talking on.
A phone or something?
Uh-huh.
So he talked to someone
Yeah, yeah.
and he ran your name. And is that when you realized, or did you know you had warrants before that?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he, once he learned that information, or did you hear the radio person say she has warrants?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about the conversation, if any, that happened after that.
He asked me did I know I had warrants, and I told him yes.
So you told him the truth?
No audible response.
Okay.
Yes.
What happened next?
He basically started talking to me when I'm going to get him paid, and
When are you going to get the tickets? When are you going to get the warrants paid?
when I'm going to get him paid.
Okay. Tell me what you understood the warrants to be for. Not the charge, but I mean, you said paid. Were they money warrant? Did you owe people money?
Cash bond.
Who did the to the city of Oklahoma City?
Yeah, just the city. No felony. Just city tickets.
Okay. So you discussed, he asked you and you responded about what would be required to get those taken care of and get you to pay them, right? What'd you tell him, if you remember?
I told him I'd been out of a job and I hadn't had the money, but I was going to file my taxes and I was going to get them taken care of. By the way, folks, this is not anything we've ever heard from Tabitha Barnes' mouth at any time. Just FYI. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, because like, what job did she have that she needed to file some taxes?
Yeah, and never. Yeah, exactly.
Was that the truth? Was that your intention?
That was my intention.
Have you done that?
No,
Okay, well, why not?
actually, I haven't had the money to pay for that. I have 6 children, and right now I'm paying rent cash.
Oh, back then, 3 of the kids were living with you, but you had other kids, other places?
My oldest, I have 3 more boys. I help them out too when I can. I got 3 at home.
You got a job yet?
No, I haven't. I just transferred and moved to out of state.
All right.
To do better.
So you discuss the warrants and you tell them your intention is to pay them once you get your income taxes, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember what he said in response to you making that explanation or that offer?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, at some point, did he discuss, well, let me rephrase. Did you think there was a possibility you would go to jail as a result of those warrants?
Yes.
Help her out, Galen.
No kidding.
Tell me about that conversation, if any. Did you ask about that, or did he say anything about jail?
No, I didn't say anything. Asked me, did I have drugs on me?
So the conversation goes to drugs?
Yeah.
All right. And what did you say?
I said, no, I do not.
At this point, ma'am, let me ask you, do you know what was going on, if anything? Let me rephrase. Could you see what was going on in the police car in front of you at that time?
The police car that Angela Cooper was in?
Yes, ma'am. That's the one I'm asking about.
Yeah, she got out.
Okay. When did that happen?
Didn't take no time.
Okay.
Like,
Do you recall, was it before the warrant check came back, or after, or do you know?
my warrant check had already come back
It had come back. How do you know she got out of the car?
because I seen her get out the car.
And when she got out of the car, what did she do?
She went in the house.
And when she went in the house, did you observe the other police car and what it did?
He drove off.
It left you there?
Yeah.
Okay. During that time period, if you know, about how long was it from the time that car in front, that police car drove off, until you started being asked about whether or not you had drugs, or can you tell me that time?
Oh my God, there's so much bleeding. I can't stand it.
Well,
After
you have to
Angela,
help her.
I know, yeah, which will become evident to everybody very soon. Okay, after Angela went in the house, police car drove up. He ran the warrants, and I knew I had them, and he told me I had them. That's when he asked me that I have drugs on me.
So it happened, in your memory, it happened after the police car had left, and you're still there in the police car with the defendant?
Yes.
And tell me about that conversation and what happened. Oh, he asked if you had drugs. What'd you say? What happened next?
I told him no, I didn't have no drugs on me. And he asked me, could he see?
Could he see?
Yeah.
Oh, what did that mean to you, ma'am?
Did I have anything underneath my shirt?
How did you know that's what he was talking about?
Did I have drugs underneath? He asked me,
About your shirt specifically?
did I have drugs on me?
On you at all?
Yes.
And so his response was, can I see?
Yeah, so I literally, I raised my shirt up halfway. Wasn't good enough. He was like, let me see. And I stated, shouldn't an lady officer, be checking me?
Did he respond?
Can't recall what he said when I said that.
All right. Well, I want to ask you a couple things about that, Miss Barnes, if I may. Whenever he said, can I see, you said you lifted your shirt about halfway. Is that right?
Yes.
And you're motioning. Did you have a shirt that you could just pull up?
Yeah, I wore like these little.
Okay. I mean,
I was basically in my pajamas, and they were thick pajamas. The legs. Me and Angela was dressed alike, and we had on a white tee.
white t-shirt. Were you wearing underwear?
No,
Do you normally not?
normally not.
Okay. So when you lifted your shirt up a little bit, ma'am, what part of your body, if any, was exposed where he could see skin when you did it the first time?
My breasts.
You lifted it all the way up the very first time?
I lifted it halfway up.
Okay. Whenever you lifted it halfway up, were your breast exposed or just your stomach?
Just my stomach.
Was the skin on your stomach exposed?
Yes.
And then he responded, tell me again how it happened from, you went from this, but then that not being enough and then going all the way.
Yeah, I had lifted it up halfway to my stomach, and he was like, "What's underneath?" Pacifically said, "What's underneath?" I said, "Nothing is under there." And he was like, "Let me see."
And then you said something about a female officer.
Yeah, I mentioned, shouldn't there be a female officer? I can't recall what he said to me after that.
Why did you say shouldn't there be a female officer doing this?
I watch a lot of police shows, and I mean a lot. And not only that,
Had you been searched before by the police, ma'am?
female?
Uh-huh.
Pausing a long time.
No?
I don't,
But your response was,
I know that a male officer is not supposed to touch a woman without someone present, or a female especially.
so that's when you said that to him?
Yes, sir.
And did you tell me you don't recall what he said in response to that?
When I spoke on the female officer,
Yeah, when you said, isn't a female supposed to do that? You don't remember what he said?
I don't remember what he said.
Okay, what happened next? What do you remember happening next?
I lifted my shirt up.
Did you think you had a choice to lift your shirt up? Mr. Adams.
Mr. Adams.
Judge,
Mr.
I
Adams.
would just object to the form as leading. All right, sustained.
Why'd you lift up your shirt?
Because I didn't want to go to jail.
So, did you do that? You lifted it up?
Yeah, he told me. He told me he was going to let me go.
Okay. Help me understand that. What do you mean?
He was like, "I'm not going to take you to jail. Just play by my rules." She never said that anywhere else.
Do you remember him saying those words?
Yes.
What did that mean to you? What did you interpret that to mean?
That I know what it meant. I mean,
Well, tell me.
play by his rules, do what he asks me to do, and I'm going to go home. I'm going in the house just like.
So you lifted your shirt up?
Yeah, just like he told my children, your mother's not going to jail.
Well, I'll get there in a minute, okay? Let's just stay in the car with me. Okay, so far in the car, it's just you and him, right? Now, am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
All right, ma'am. So you exposed your breasts. What happened next?
He asked me, did I have anything underneath my breasts?
Okay, and what did you say?
I said no.
And then what happened?
I didn't want him to touch me, so I had got ready. He's like, "No, let me check." And he lifted up my breast.
So he actually, I want to make sure I understand. You said he had begun to do it. Had you begun to lift your breasts up? Had you begun to lift your breasts up, ma'am?
I was going to do it because he was like, is anything under there and all that? They hang or whatever.
And I neglected to ask you this, ma'am, but where were you when all this was going on, and where was he?
He was out of his car, and I was in the back seat of his car with the door open.
Okay, which side of the car were you on? The driver's side or the passenger side?
The driver's side.
You were on the driver's side.
Yes.
So he had stepped out after he ran you and got the warrant information. Was he in the front seat whenever he did that, or do you know?
Yes.
Okay, so at this time he stepped out. You were sitting in the driver's seat on the back side, passenger driver's side. Come on, Galen,
Lord.
get your shit together here. Okay, are you all the way in the car with your feet in the car, or are your feet outside the car?
At that time, my feet was outside the car
Okay, and he was standing there.
in front of me.
The door's open?
Yes.
And I apologize. I should have asked you that before I went through that. And it's when that is happening, then does he actually touch your breasts, ma'am?
Yes.
With his hands?
With both his hands,
Skin to skin?
skin to skin.
Okay.
And not like with it, didn't seem like it lasted 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Not very long.
No.
After he did that, ma'am, what did he do next, if anything, if you recall?
He said to me, I need to get my tickets taken care of.
Okay.
I'm not going to take you to jail today.
Then what happened?
I got out and went in the house and called my girls to the back,
Which girls?
Zion Barnes and Ariana Barnes.
And ma'am, I told you not to tell me before, but I want you to tell me now. Zion was how old back then, or how old is she now?
15.
She's 15 now, so she would have been
14.
okay. And how old is Ariana?
She's 12.
So she would have been 11.
Good math skills, Galen.
He's smart.
Yes. He's smart for an 20.
All right. Oh, what did you tell them?
I called them to the back room
Okay.
and I told them what happened.
Were you upset?
Yeah, I was crying and they was just looking like, are you serious?
Well, why did you tell your daughters what had happened, ma'am?
After I told them what happened, I told them if they see him to run.
Well, did it scare you?
Yeah, because I got girls.
All right, ma'am. I want to go back and show you some things. Can I approach, Judge?
You may approach.
I'm going to hand you 146 through 159 inclusive. Ma'am, do you recognize what these pictures are? I'm going to flip through them with you.
Yes.
Are they essentially different pictures of your house back on 15th and Jordan?
Yes.
And obviously it's nighttime during this event, but these are taken during the daytime. But do they accurately reflect essentially what your house looked like and the way the streets are back in February of 2014?
Yeah, just no snow.
With no snow? Offer those exhibits, Your Honor.
No
No objection,
objection.
Your Honor.
Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
All right. States exhibit number 146, 147, 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, and 159 will be admitted.
Thank you, Judge. May I publish?
You may.
Ma'am, I'm not going to show you all these right now, but I'm going to show you some. 146. If you look at that TV screen right there, you'll be able to see that's basically the intersection that you lived in back then, right? Street signs?
Yes.
All right.
Ma'am, if you need to answer, make sure you pull that microphone around in front of you so we can all hear.
Okay.
Is that the front of your house, ma'am?
Yes.
Is this photograph? Do you know those people in the yard? And do you know that car?
Pause. Is that Sam?
No, it must be Jack.
Oh. Oh, it's a Jack.
I don't know. It's
Muted.
not, Sam isn't here.
Is Jack snoring?
Wake up, Jack.
Oh, wake up, Jack. Oh, God. Susan, do you want to read Scott Adams' part? I'll mute him. Should I mute him, guys, or just let him snore? I can mute him.
Mute him. I thought that was the
Jack.
dog.
I did.
Yeah, no, Sam's at Grandma's house.
That's so funny.
Okay. That is so funny. All right.
I
We
should
get
have
in
let
the
Sam
favor.
take it.
It's all good. I muted him. Susan, do you want to read Scott Adams' parts?
Sure.
Okay,
Are
thank
we
you.
on 3? Line 3?
Yes.
Okay, is that the car you were in that night?
No.
All right. 147, excuse me. 148 gives a little, with that car as a reference, whenever you were in the car, ma'am, whenever the police officers first pulled up, were you parked in the driveway or were you in the street? Or does that picture show where you were?
My car was parked. I think that's in front of the, see where that car is right there? My car was parked on this side in the front.
This car or this car?
That car.
Okay, so in front of the house, right?
Yeah, closer to my house,
Kind of
but on the same side.
closer toward the big trash can?
No.
Close back this way?
Yeah, go back. Go back. Go back.
Sorry, back here?
Right there where that car is at. Just pull up a little bit. It was a little closer to my house.
About right there?
Yes.
Okay. And ma'am, just for, is this the side of the house?
Yes.
Okay, so this road right here is Jordan. Is that correct?
Yes.
The road that goes in front of your house is Northeast 15th Street.
Yes.
All right. This is another picture of your house, right?
That's the side.
Yes, ma'am. The side, that's 150. States Exhibit 151 is the back of the house. Fair enough?
Yes.
States number 152 just kind of gives us a straight on view of at your house at that time. Is that right?
Yes.
And I just want to show you those to kind of get a little bit of a bearing of where we're talking about. That's all I wanted. You can turn back toward me now. So you go in and you tell your daughters what happened.
And Angela Cooper.
And Miss Cooper. Well, let me ask, Miss Barnes, since you told them, why didn't you just pick up the phone and call 911?
I felt like, who would believe me that Oklahoma City police officer had touched me?
Did you feel helpless?
It is what it is.
Oh, had you ever seen that officer before that night, ma'am, that you recall?
No,
You hadn't had contact with him before?
no,
Ma'am, was that the last time you saw this police officer?
no.
Well, I'm going to turn your attention now again about a month later, give or take. Do you remember something happening with this police officer about a month after that? Do you remember that?
Yes,
Okay. Ma'am, again, do you remember the exact date?
no.
If the records, I turn your attention to the 25th day of March, all right? So about a month later, 2014. Did you see that officer again on that day?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what happened that day that you recall.
Me, Ariana, and Marcus had come back. It was dark time. Once I approached coming up on my street, I see a police car in the front of the house.
All right. So if I go back, let's say state's exhibit number.
Right there.
Does that one show it? Hang on. Does that show where it was?
That street behind the red car.
15th Street?
Yeah, the street in front of my house.
So you'd been gone with your kids and you come up and there's a police car there.
So I parked right there on the side.
Okay. You parked on Jordan?
Yes.
All right. What happened?
My daughter was like, "What you gonna do?" I was like, "I'm gonna get out."
Did you recognize the car?
I just knew it was a police car, but I already knew who it was. It was Spike.
Why do you just use the word Spike? Tell me about that.
Oh, it was something that Detective Gregory made up, and I learned from him.
We talked about it. You talked about it on that first interview that wasn't recorded.
Yeah, and Rocky Gregory, or that Detective Gregory, or whatever his name. He told me I should call him Spike. No, just kidding. Okay.
Did he say you should say it a bunch of times?
He did. He said I should say it at least 15 times so he could put it in the report at least that many times.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Oh, that was a little ad lib for y'all. Line 4. That was the name I gave him because I didn't know his
name.
His name, and he wears his hair up in spikes, and that's what me and my children called him.
So, because of the way he wore his hair, you nicknamed him Spike.
Yes.
You come home, you see a car, your kids ask you, what are you going to do? And you get out, right?
Yeah, so I told them to come on with me. Ariana didn't want to go, but I told her, come on, walk with me. So as soon as I got in the grass, he called me by name.
What happened?
He called me by name, and he said, "Tabitha, come here." And I said, "Here you go again."
Ma'am, whenever you pulled up, did you notice anything else unusual at your house that day other than Spike being there?
Uh-huh. Yes, I did. It was a black African American. What? Sorry.
As opposed to a yellow or white one? Okay.
I haven't read that before. Oh, fuck. Okay,
That's always fun.
Another funny one's coming up. I can't remember. I sent it to you guys in chat earlier this week. But anyway, okay, sorry. Serious. It was a black African American laying right by that pole.
Laying in your yard?
Laying in the yard, right by the pole.
Okay, you said a black African American. You mean a black man in your yard?
Black man, yes.
Okay, did you know that black man?
No. I asked Spike. I'm like, who are you? Are you here for him? And he was like, no. So he walked by. I said, why is he? You know, my thing was, why are you here? And that's
What? Why is the police officer there?
yes.
Okay, then what?
And I said, are you here for who is this? And he was like, I don't know. So he walked over to him, kicked him, told him to go on. He walked down, not down Jordan, back down that way.
Could you tell if that black man that was in your yard was asleep or passed out, or could you even tell what was going on with him?
I don't know if he was asleep, passed out, or he was laying there. But
Ma'am, is this, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But when he kicked him, he didn't automatically, get up. He like, hey, move on. That's exactly what he said. He said, move on down the road.
It took something to get him up and going?
He kicked him.
Okay. Ma'am, is this part of town, is it common for people to be walking around
Yes.
in this part of town? So after the police officer made this man move on along, what happened after that?
He told my children to go on. Head in the house.
Okay.
And he put me in a police car again.
Do you remember? So did your kids go on in the house?
Ariana didn't.
Okay. What Ariana do?
She stood there
Stood where?
on the porch.
The porch I can see there in State's Exhibit number 147, that wood porch in the front of your house?
Yes.
Okay. I should ask, ma'am, whenever you left the house that day, before you came back and saw the officer or at your residence, who when you left was home, if anyone?
Terry Williams.
Your boyfriend?
Yes.
Was anyone else home with Mr. Williams that you were aware of, or whenever you left?
No.
Okay. When you came back home, did you learn that Mr. Williams was still there?
Yes.
All right, but am I understanding you at this point? The kids, two of your children, had been told to go inside the house, but you had not yet gone back inside the house.
Nope. I hadn't went in yet.
You're back now in the back of a police car again.
Yeah.
Same spot or different spot in the back of the police car?
Same spot.
Okay, so on the passenger side. Excuse me, on the driver's side, back seat?
Yes.
On the driver's side, back seat.
Yes.
All right. What happened then, ma'am?
He started asking me about my tickets again and asked me if I took care of them. I said no.
At this point, had the defendant said anything about your house to you?
Yeah, he did.
What he told you about your house?
Good Lord.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. He said, I've been in your house.
Whenever you said I've been in your house, was that a surprise to you?
Yes, it was.
Why?
Because I asked him, who let you? I asked him, I said, who let you in my house?
Oh, did he respond to you?
He said, I went on in.
He said, I went on in your house?
Yep. So I'm in the back seat, like,
But did that concern you?
yeah, that concerned me because yeah,
Was that before or after he had asked you about had you taken care of your warrants or your tickets?
that was after.
After the tickets or the warrants? Okay. So he asked about that, and I apologize, ma'am, if you told me, but I may have missed it. So the sequence is you're in the car. He asked about your tickets. Did you respond to him and give him an answer when he inquired about your tickets?
Yep.
What did you tell him?
I told him no.
Did you give him a reason?
Nope, I didn't.
Okay. And then the conversation then goes to him talking about being in your house. Is that what happens next, or did something else happen?
Yeah, he informed me that he had been inside my home.
Did you ever say anything to the defendant about your kids?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you say?
Told him that he was scarring my children.
Was he?
Yeah, he was.
Did he respond to you about your concern?
He called my daughter to the car.
What'd he say to her?
He asked her, was he scarring her? And
Did she respond?
yeah, she did.
Did he say anything else to her?
Yeah.
What else did he say to her?
Go on in the house. Your mother's going to be okay.
Did she obey him?
No, she stood on the porch right a second and then went in.
So she went back to the porch, hesitated, but eventually she did go inside.
Yes.
Do you know if she shut the door, or could you see the front door?
No, I can't recall if it was shut or open, but no.
After he instructed Ariana to go back inside the house and assured her that you would be okay, what happened after that, ma'am?
I was in the back seat. That night, it took kind of long. The situation, he talked. I can't recall the word, what he was asking me or saying.
There was some discussion more in the car.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it was.
All right.
But it took longer. I mean, it was longer before he proceeded to do what he did.
And what happened?
After a minute, he sitting in the back seat, and he was like, I ain't going to take you to jail. And he asked me once again if I have drugs on me.
Was it dark outside?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you say?
I said, no, I do not.
What happened then?
He got out the driver's seat of his car, came to the back seat, opened the door, had his hand over the door, and he said, you got anything under your shirt? I said, no. You gonna let me see?
He said, you gonna let me see?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you do?
I let him see. God.
You pull your shirt up again?
Yeah.
Essentially the same way it happened before, or is there anything different about it that's specifically different?
I raised my shirt up and let him see what he.
Did he touch you this time?
No,
He did not touch you this time.
no.
After you raised your shirt, what happened?
He pointed to my pants.
Tell me about what kind of pants you had on. Well, before you told me you were wearing kind of pajama pants. What were you wearing on this day? Same type of shirt or different type of shirt?
I always wear white t-shirts.
I'm not trying to embarrass you, ma'am, but I want to be real specific. Were you also not wearing a bra that day?
I can't remember.
Let me ask this. Whenever you pulled your... Do you remember now?
Yes, I did have on a bra the second time. Yes, I did. Oh boy.
You had a bra on the second time? Whenever you moved your shirt up the second time, did you actually expose your breasts? Did you move your bra as well? Was your bra still covering your breasts?
I moved everything.
Why'd you just go ahead and move everything?
I know, like,
do you understand my question? Like, why didn't you just pull your shirt up and leave your bra on? It's what I'm asking.
I just did it like we did it last time.
Is that what you thought he wanted?
No, yeah, I mean, I just followed suit, basically. Followed suit.
Okay. What kind of pants were you wearing, if you recall, the second time?
Leggings, tights,
Stretch pants?
black.
He says what? You said did he motion? You motioned whenever you were testifying a moment ago. Did he point at?
He pointed at them.
And he said what?
What's down there? And I just looked at him. He was like, you gonna let me see? I just pulled him back. He looked down, pulled him up. I mean, they flat back.
You motioned again, man. You're sitting in the car, they flat back. What? We need a flat back meme.
Oh God, now I know what my mission's gonna be this week. Oh God. They flat back.
They flat back.
Make up the song. That was, yeah. Ain't no flapping back, girls. Oh, anyway. Excuse me. Line 1. Yes, I'm sitting in the car, same back seat.
Your feet in the car, your feet outside.
Feet out the car.
Your feet are out of the car this time?
They was out of the car last time.
Last time too? Okay, you're right. I apologize. So you're out of the car, you motion, and I know there's a wall, kind of a little rail kind of blocks some of your hand motions. Tell me how you pulled, well, what you did with your hands specifically. Just describe what you did.
I pulled them.
Pulled them out?
Yeah, they stretchies.
Okay. Were you wearing panties?
Oh, no.
When you pulled your pants forward, were your privates exposed? Could you see your vaginal area, your private area?
Yes.
Could he see it?
Yes.
Did he say anything to you after you did that?
No, he said, I'm going to let you go.
Still have warrants, right?
Yep. I'm gonna let you go. So I got ready to get out the car, and he said, "Hold on, I got $20 in the back seat." And remember, I had $20, but I didn't know where. Everything happened so fast, but I remember I had a $20 bill also. So what I did, I turned back to see what he was talking about, and there it was, $20 bill in the back seat.
And I want to make sure I understand. Was that your $20 bill? Where was your $20 bill?
I was in the house with my purse. Ariana had my purse,
Okay, so
but I keep a lot of things up high. So I'm like,
in your bra? Up high. Like up high in my bra.
up here, I am a bra. Jesus,
God dang it.
oh my God. I'm like thinking that, once I had,
I'm sorry. We're talking over each other. I apologize.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. Once I had raised up my shirt, that's where I keep my money at most of the time,
In your bra?
in my bra.
Okay. So he mentioned the $20. I'm like, my instincts. Oh wait,
wait,
why
wait,
am I
wait.
reading your part? I was like,
don't know.
what? God,
I was like, why is Jigger saying this?
that's what I thought. Pay attention.
So when he mentioned the $20, I'm like, my instincts was like, hold on, I had $20 too. Then when I look up, I'm like, no, that's not mine because it was balled up. And he was like, no, that's not yours, that's mine. And I asked him, I said, why do you have $20 in the back seat? And he said, I got my reasons.
All right, Mr. Giger, it's after 5 now, so we'll go ahead and break for the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll recess until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I need to admonish you not to discuss the case, not to let anyone discuss the case with you. You can step down, Miss Barnes. Don't try to find out anything about the case. If anyone should try to approach you or send you anything or contact you about this case at all, report it to me or my bailiff immediately. I need everyone to have a seat. Again, some procedure. Check in and over at the jury assembly room, and then if you'll be over here in the jury box at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Mr. Holtzclaw, you're excused until 9 o'clock. All right, the jury will be in recess until 9 tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. So that was day 1, part 1. Yes. Okay, I'm going to check in over here with y'all, see what's going on over here. So I guess I lied. That was a little bit of craziness on the first day, and I'd forgotten that they had actually broke for the day on the first day of that testimony. But there were just a lot, and I'll just, if my ladies and awake people on the panel would like to make any comments before we move on, or maybe remind the audience or the viewers about some lies and inconsistencies that we definitely heard.
Well, anything that I have ever seen, I've watched a lot of arrests and stuff. A cop is going to check a person before they put them in the car to see if they have anything on them. I don't believe that he did that once she got in the car.
Right.
Yeah, he's not going to put her in the back seat, get in the front seat with his back to her while he enters the
Not having
information
checked her.
computer or calls her
Right.
in. A few of the accusers do this where they get that backwards, where they place themselves inside the back of his cruiser and then he searches them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, not yet necessarily, but we know we haven't heard that. We've, Daniel's, he says it, I believe, in his interrogation video that he never, well, no cops that I know of, to be honest, they don't put, like Susan said, somebody in their vehicle without.
They could have a
doing
gun in
pat
their
down.
waistband, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Yep,
Exactly. And according to Tabitha, at least in this part, everything that was done to her, she was sitting in the back seat. All of the things that she alleges happened, she's sitting in the back
Right.
seat. Evidently, even when he allegedly lifts up both of her breasts with his bare hands, skin to skin. So come on. So he's going to bend over and do all this shit to somebody? No, I don't think so.
but she later says he didn't touch me.
Mhm.
So
She sure did. She was adamant.
This whole
Go ahead.
thing about this whole concept of pull your leggings out and could he see your vagina? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Just
before you
Just try
flat
to-
back,
yeah,
Before you
just
flap
try
back.
to. I mean, not to mention the fact that Tabitha Barnes has an apron. So,
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
mean, he's not going to see her vagina. He's going to see her belly hanging down.
yeah.
Right. And then she also said that, what did she say? Oh, they swing low, or they swing, or they hang low, or something. She said so. And I think that, I think last week when we were reading, I think it was Sheila in the chat. Was it Sheila? Sheila, are you still here? Said that, she checked. She was wearing leggings the moment she said she checked. Doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
She couldn't see her vajayjay. So anyway, okay. Well, we're just a little over an hour, so I want to get started, and so we can get through as much of this second part as possible tonight. With that, yep, with Sheila. Oh, T1 too. Pop. We had a good time last week with all that ridiculousness. Tabitha Barnes. Okay. So, and it's great to see you, T1. Thank you for being here. And everybody else that's in chat, I haven't got to say hello to. It's, oh, for hell's sake. It's different when you're reading and scrolling. You can't stay on the Streamyard page. So, not ignoring anybody. I just can't see what you're saying. But, okay, so now we come back the next day, which, by the way, is the 13th of November, 2015. And same appearances by the state, Adams, McConnell. And we'll start on line 3 with the court. Hang on, I'm not sharing it. Just realized that. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we're going to start on line 3 with the court.
All
Got
right. Okay. All right. Let the record reflect that we're out of the presence of the jury. Counsel for the state is present. Counsel for the defendant is present. Defendant is not present with us right now.
And he waives his appearance, Your Honor.
And Ms. Tabitha Barnes is present. Ms. Barnes was a witness that began her testimony yesterday, and then we broke for our evening recess. We were to begin court today, November 13th at 9 a.m. when the district attorney, Mr. Gear, came in and said that his witness witnesses were running late, and then had some information of some problems that Miss Barnes apparently lives out of state now and was staying at a hotel last night, and that there was some issue at the hotel. Why don't you, Mr. Giger, just briefly put it on the record so that...
Well, Judge, until Miss Barnes got here, I was getting different information, which I didn't know was accurate or not. There was some indication that Miss Barnes had left the hotel. Once the entire family arrived, I understand that Miss Barnes, as to what she told me, was that she went down to the front desk, engaged in a conversation with the hotel employee, and through that was told that she could charge items that the state of Oklahoma would be responsible for from the gift shop, as well as receive a third room because Miss Barnes was not particularly happy with the sleeping arrangements because her and her family, she felt like, was crowded and were crowded into 2 rooms, and the children were not all getting along. That conversation, from what she told me, it sounds like lasted somewhere between about an hour down at the gift shop with the employee. At some point, her daughter came down also and was engaged in some of that. When it was all said and done, her daughter and her ended up in another room that the hotel indicated to her would be charged, and the state would be, her assumption was the state would pay for it. This morning, whenever her sister began to try to locate everyone, she couldn't find Miss Barnes and her daughter because they were in a room she didn't know about because she had gone to sleep. So to move ahead, as the sister figured out there was some items charged, the hotel was indicating that the charges for those other items from the gift shop would be attributable to the sister's private account that, in fact, was deducted. Eventually, Miss Barnes and her daughter were found to be in this other room, but then there was a lot of issues about who was going to be responsible for the money, which it delayed them leaving the hotel. And it also caused a lot of, I think, in her family problems as well between her sister, who is allowing Miss Barnes to live with her in Dallas right now. So those issues seem to have been somewhat, at least, put on hold at this point, trying to get them resolved. And our office has contacted the hotel because we have a contract with that hotel, as I understand it, and these types of things shouldn't happen. With all that being said, I think there's some concerns because it was initially suspected as Miss Barnes left the hotel that maybe she had line 13, Rhonda.
We did leave the hotel. Me, my mother, my...
Hang on.
I was muted. Sorry, guys.
In any event, I think there was some concerns about just making sure that Miss Barnes hasn't come under the influence of anything. She has assured me that the only thing she's taken is prescription medication that she takes regularly.
By my psychiatrist.
But with that being said, that was the issue this morning, which caused the delay, Your Honor.
Miss Barnes, did you sleep last night?
After I took my medication, yes, I did.
Been taking anything other than your medications?
No, I take Celexa. Celexa is to control my angry.
Your what?
Angry?
Angry?
Are you familiar with, my psychiatrist gives them to me. My Seroquel is 300 milligram, and it all depends on what time that you take it. It all depends on what times you take it. that medication controls your moods, but it also puts you in a deep sleep. I have a prescription
When did you take it?
last night.
Okay. Do you feel like it's having any influence over your speech or your coordination or your thoughts?
No, I do not. When my sister is my best friend, my everything, and I'm very emotional, but
Sure.
when she came in this morning on my head,
On your what?
on my head,
She came in on your head?
He came in on your head.
let me rephrase that, please. Getting on my ASS.
I think she's using slang, Your Honor.
Well, she came in.
She got on my ass is what she was she upset?
Yeah,
Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, about the motel, you know.
Okay.
So I'm the baby, and I cry a lot
Okay.
when it comes to my family.
And you know that you're under a subpoena, which is in order to be here and testify, correct?
Yeah,
And you understand that that's a requirement, right?
yes, sir.
And so I lost my place.
Sorry.
That's okay. And so you haven't taken anything other than your prescribed medications?
I haven't.
Okay, you have not?
I have the medication.
But are you telling me that you have not taken anything other than your prescribed medications?
No, I just said the medicine,
Okay, well,
the Seroquel. Yes, if you don't get all your sleep out, you know it still be, you know.
well, let me ask you this then. You wouldn't mind then going and having a urine test, would you?
No,
Okay, all right. Well, let's get another witness lined up.
Okay.
Because have you got somebody that can escort her to?
They'll actually come over here, Judge.
Will they?
I can do it either way. One of the detectives there's a third detective here that's not a case agent, and I'm sure she doesn't mind taking her over if the court wants to do it that way, or we can come over here, whichever. Doesn't matter to me.
Are you talking about conditional bond?
Yes, conditional bond. It's 713-1152. They'll actually come here and they can do it right in there.
Mr. Gray, would you mind calling them and saying the judge asked if somebody can come over and do this?
I'll step out.
Sure, thanks.
Judge, what we may do, if it's all right, we'll try to we may just put Ariana on first. We'll get her done. That way we can get this done.
my thing is, who said I use drugs?
Well, no one is saying that, but we just want to make sure everything's okay.
And her confusion is, Your Honor, I told her that through the chain of being informed.
They ain't gonna take my blood.
No, it's a urine test. You just pee. It's a pee test.
I got a kidney infection, and so it's not like I'm peeing. Like I pee probably one a dang day.
Okay. Well, that'll be all right. They'll come over here and you can go right in there and we'll close. Everybody will leave, and that way, other than the drug people.
And Your Honor, her concern is, because I asked her the same question, whenever the assumption was made that she left the hotel.
This is the judge, and before I came out here, I smoked marijuana.
When was that?
about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
So I'm going to test positive for THC.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, just
Okay. Well, in any event, Judge, she was upset when I told her that there was some concern of that this morning because of the assumption we were making.
and I have prescriptions for my Xanaxes.
So she's assured me that she's didn't do anything else.
Mr. Gray, they'll need a detective to take her over there.
Is that okay with you? It's just across the street. Is that okay with you?
Yeah,
Somebody will walk you over there.
Okay. Are we done?
Mr. Adams. Yeah, I'm done with her.
Okay.
So this was an
Oh,
in-camera hearing.
yes, sorry. It was in camera, not in front of the jury, unfortunately. Sorry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Almost afternoon. Let the record reflect that all members of the jury are present. Counsel for the state, counsel for the defendant's present as well. I think in voir dire, probably one of the attorneys said something about this isn't quite like TV. We deal in the real world. The attorneys, myself, we've been having to deal with some issues. I apologize for the delay. I hate that it happens. But at this time, we're going to be calling a witness out of order. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Judge.
State
Who's
calls
reading?
Ariana Barnes.
Who's reading McConnell?
You are.
It might be McConnell, but I thought it was Giger. But if it is McConnell, you can read it because, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
If that's
All
okay
right,
with you.
young lady, if you will just step right around in front of me here, raise your right hand. All right, and if you'll have a seat over here in this chair, once you get situated, pull that microphone right around in front of you. If you would state your name and spell it for us, please.
Arriona.
And what's your last name?
Barnes.
How do you spell that?
Barnes.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Barnes, Ariana, do you know a person by the name of Tabitha Barnes?
Yes, ma'am. That's my mother.
That's your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And back in 2014, did you live with your mom, Tabitha Barnes?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did you live at?
Northeast 15th and Jordan.
During the time you were living at Northeast 15th and Jordan, did you know an officer that you called Spike?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call him Spike?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you call him that?
Because that's what my mother know him by, and that's why I know him by, because that's what he had on his hair.
Did you ever see Spike?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the first time you saw Spike.
He was parked in front of our house, blocking the driveway part. He asked my mom, who was the man that was in the house, which it was Terry Williams. And
let me stop you, Ariana, just so I can make sure that I understand. Were you already at your house whenever you first saw Spike, or was Spike at your house before you got there?
he was already there.
Okay. And what were you doing at your house? And what were you doing at your house before you saw Spike that first time?
Getting groceries out the car.
And who was getting groceries out of the car?
Me and my little brother.
And what's your little brother's name?
Marcus Barnes.
And had you just gotten back from the grocery store?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you gone with your mom, Tabitha, too?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else besides you and your mom and Marcus?
No,
Okay. And when you saw Spike, was he in his police car or out of his police car, or where was he?
he was in the car.
And where was his car parked?
It was parked in front of the driveway.
And you said that you saw him talk to your mom?
Yes,
When you saw him talk to your mom, where was that? Was it outside the house or inside the house?
outside.
Okay. Where were they at?
Like right there by the driveway part. That's where the car was parked. So they was like, she was sitting in the car and he was standing up like by the back door part.
Okay. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit more in a second, Ariana. What was your brother Marcus doing while Spike was talking to your mom?
He went inside. He never come out because he was scared.
Tell me that one more time. I didn't hear you.
He was inside. He never come out because he was scared.
Oh, where were you whenever?
I was by the window.
Were you inside the house or outside the house?
Inside.
And was the window open or closed?
Open.
This is March 20 something. Is that the date we're talking about, guys?
I think so.
It's almost impossible to tell with Ariana because her entire testimony is just, I'm not just trying to be mean here, but her entire testimony is a lie. So it's really hard to know what date or what alleged accusation she's talking about at any given time.
Could you hear what was going on?
No.
Okay. You were telling me that your mom at some point got in Spike's police car.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Because he had tell her to get in the car.
Is that something you heard?
No, she says
Oh, okay.
she told me.
Okay. Whenever your mom got in the police car, what part of the police car did she sit in?
Like where the passenger part is, but on the other side of it.
So she was in the back seat?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she on the driver's side of the car or the passenger side of the car?
She was on the passenger side.
Okay. And was she sitting in the car?
Yes.
Did she have her whole body in the car?
No, it was always like sitting like legs that way and facing him.
So her legs were outside the car?
Yes.
Okay. And how was Spike? What was his body doing?
It was like facing her, like always facing her.
Was he sitting down too, or was he standing up?
No, he was standing up.
Okay. Outside of the police car?
Yes.
And you told me that he was parked in front of the driveway?
Uh-huh.
Was the part of the car that your mom was sitting in and he was standing outside of, was that closer to you or farther away from you?
It was further. That's why I couldn't see too much.
Okay. Could you see anything that was going on between them, Spike and your mom?
No.
Okay. What happened next after you saw that?
And then my mom came inside
Did Spike ever talk to you that day?
the second day.
Okay. Did anything else happen that you saw between Mom and Spike that first time?
No.
Okay. Was there another time you saw Spike?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was a man laying in our yard, and he told my mom that he went inside the house. And my mom said, well, why'd you go in the house? And he said, because I'm the law and I can do that. And my mom said, you can't. He was like, the front door was open anyway, which it wasn't.
Well, and do you normally leave the front door open on your house?
No.
What do you usually lock the front door or not lock it?
We lock it.
And where were you whenever you saw your mom and Spike having that conversation?
I was inside helping my little brother.
Could you hear it with your ears?
Yes, the window was open that time.
Okay, and where were your mom and Spike whenever they were talking the second time?
Parked in the same spot he always parked in,
Okay, is that
outside.
okay? Well, did you see anything that was going on between your mom and Spike that time?
No,
Okay, did you see your mom get in his police car that time?
yes,
Was his police car again like you told me before?
yes,
Okay. What about his body that time? Was he standing like you told me before?
yes,
Do you ever see Spike any more times?
no,
Do you ever see Spike's police car around your house any more times?
he always passed by the street. My mom tell us to come inside.
Did you actually see him come by your house more times?
No,
Okay. That's just something that someone told you?
yeah,
Okay. And before the first time that you saw Spike, did you know anything about Spike before that?
no,
Okay. Had your mom, before the first time that you saw Spike, gotten upset about something and came and told you about it?
yes,
Uh, where were you whenever that happened?
inside.
Inside your house?
Uh-huh,
Is that a yes?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who was around whenever your mom got upset and came and told you?
Me and my brother, but he didn't understand.
Well, tell me about how your mom was acting whenever
She just saying, she just was crying
was she crying a little bit or a lot?
a lot.
Do you see your mom cry a lot like that?
No,
And whenever your mom was crying, did she tell you what she was crying about?
not all the time.
This time, though, whenever she was crying a lot, did she tell you what she was crying about?
She did.
Was she crying about something that had happened to her?
Yes,
And did she tell you about what happened?
yes.
What did she tell you?
Judge, I would object as hearsay.
Come up. Give me an offer of proof of what you believe she's going to say.
Judge, From talking to her in my office yesterday specifically, I believe she's going to say that her mom came in crying, as she said, and told her that this officer made her mom show him her body parts, is the words that she told me her mom used. And that would be the end of the inquiry.
All right, overruled.
I'm back. Judge, may I also I want to object on that. It's improper bolstering, and in addition to that, this is not what I was told that this witness was going to testify about. That her mother was crying, and that relayed information to her that about body parts. That is not in their summary of her statement.
Judge, the police report has that her mom told her about what had happened with the police officer, Officer Holtzclaw, whenever her mom first encountered him. I know it doesn't use the term body parts, but it doesn't have a quote from her in it. That's just words that she used yesterday in my office when I asked her to tell me specifically what happened to what were her words to you?
Well, what does the summary say that this witness will testify to?
Ariana said that her mother told her that Spike had seen her mother's breasts. So, I mean, she just used the words body part, and so she motioned.
It says child. Excuse me. It says child of the victim, Tabitha Barnes, in a car on February 27, March 25th, heard March 26th events, seen it is all it says.
And Judge, just to be clear, the witness and exhibit list that counsel is referencing, it also points out counsel to specifically the case number and supplemental report and supplemental number for this report. So counsel can refer to that to see exactly what the witness is expected to testify to.
Just because they notified me, I'm just making a record. Just because it doesn't mean it's admissible. I'm objecting to its admissibility, as I previously stated.
All right, overruled. She can answer it.
Ariana, you had just finished telling me that your mom had told you something that had happened to her that was making her upset.
Yes.
What did your mom tell you? And tell me exactly the words that your mom used.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the proper predicate be laid, day, time, place, and people present. There's been some confusion about the date. I've asked that be established.
All right, fair enough. Why don't you make sure we all know which time we're talking about? We've talked about two situations.
Yes, Judge. Tell me one more time who you said was present whenever this happened, Ariana.
Me and my brother.
Okay, your brother Marcus that you were telling me about earlier?
Yes.
And what time of day did this happen?
It was always nighttime.
Was it dark outside?
Yes.
And do you know exactly what day or what month this happened in?
No.
But is this the first time that your mom had ever told you something like that?
Yes.
Okay, and what did she tell you?
She said every time he come around, he asked to see her body parts.
Okay, and you kind of gestured toward your chest. Is that what your mom did whenever she said body parts?
Yes.
Do you know a person by the name of Raven Summers, Ariana?
Yes.
Who is that?
My mom friend.
Your mom's friend?
Yes.
And you were telling me earlier that back in 2014, you were living at this house at 15th and Jordan. Do you remember telling me that?
Yes.
Do you still live in that house right now?
No.
Did you have to move?
Yes.
Why did you move?
Because my mom didn't want to stay in the area no more.
Do you know why?
No.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. Cross-examination.
Hey, Rihanna, how are you doing?
Good.
You and I have never had an opportunity to speak, correct?
Correct.
You testified that you know this guy or a guy that went by the name of Spike,
Yes.
and he was wearing some kind of uniform,
Black.
and he was an Oklahoma City police officer.
Yes.
You told us about two things, two times you can remember seeing Spike.
Yes.
Okay. And the first time would have been after you'd been to the grocery store with your mom.
Yes.
And you said that Spike had parked his car right in front of the driveway.
Yes.
Okay. And that you along with your brother carried some groceries inside the house,
Yes.
and you weren't able to see or hear anything
Nope.
on that occasion, correct? Are you agreeing with me?
Yes.
Okay. I know this is a little intimidating, and I'm trying to make this as less painful as I can, or at least painful. But on this first time that you saw Spike, you didn't have a conversation with your mother afterwards.
No.
Is that a fair statement?
No.
And I know when you say quote unquote no, are you agreeing with me that you did not?
I did not.
Okay. So the second, do you remember these being like a burglary at your house or at any time over there?
Yes.
Okay. In a relationship to that, in relationship to that burglary, someone broke into your house over there on 15th and Jordan. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And some guy had, I think, actually stolen like your microwave in your house.
Yes.
Do you remember that? And he took off running from the house.
Yes.
Okay. Using that as a reference point, or let's try to focus in on that event. From that event, this time that you're telling us about that you first saw Spike and your mother talking, would it have been before or after that person broke into your house and stole that microwave?
Before.
Would it have been like the day before?
Yes.
Okay. So is it a real short? So is it a real short period of time between the first time you saw Spike and that time that the person broke into your house and stole that microwave?
Yes.
And then the guy that broke into your house. Do you remember that the police were called on that deal?
I'm lost.
Top of
What
page.
line are we on?
Top it's page.
No.
It's line 1.
Okay. No.
Do you remember the police coming to your house after somebody broke into it and ran out of the door with the microwave?
Yes.
Okay. Were you there when that happened?
Yes.
Did you see the guy?
No.
Did you know that the police had to chase him down?
No.
Do you know whether or not that guy who ran out of your house with the microwave got tackled by the police? Do you know anything about that?
No.
So, do you know anything about that guy getting caught or anything?
No.
Okay, but this first time that you saw Spike was right before that.
Yes.
Okay. And then your mom told you nothing, correct?
She didn't tell me nothing.
Then the next time from using that time the person broke into your house and stole a microwave. If we focus in on that,
Yeah.
how long was it from the second time that you saw Spike?
It was like a week.
Okay, so approximately a week or maybe even a little bit longer.
Yes.
And when you saw Spike that time, again, it was late at night.
Yes.
And had you been somewhere with your mom and brother?
Yes. Out to eat.
You also have a sister named Zion.
Yes.
And how old is Zion?
15.
Now Zion was she there the first time you saw Spike?
Yes.
And was she there the second time you saw Spike?
No.
Who was there the second time you saw this guy named Spike?
Me and my brother.
Okay, just you two. Was there anyone else that, do you recall your mom having any friends over or anything like that?
Yes. Angela.
Angela?
Uh-huh.
Is that Angela Cooper?
Yes.
Is she a family friend?
Yes.
And so on the second time you saw Spike, it was Angela, you, your little brother, and your mom, Tabitha.
Yes.
Now tell me, when did you first see this guy that you know by Spike?
When it was a man laying in our yard, and he pulled up and said that he went inside the house.
And just so, and we're trying, none of us were there, so we're just trying to kind of visualize what you remember and what you saw. Were you already at the house?
Yes.
And was your mom and your brother, all these people you've told us about, y'all were already, were you inside the house?
No, it wasn't inside.
Okay. Were you outside?
Yes.
And do you remember what time it was?
No.
Was it, do you know what, I mean, do you know what midnight is?
Yes.
Okay. Was it before or after midnight?
It was like, I can say 10 o'clock, something.
So a couple hours before midnight.
Yes.
And who all is outside when you first see Spike?
Just me.
Okay. And where's your mom and Angela and your little brother?
It was 2 police cars then.
So two police cars showed up on the second time that you saw Spike.
Yes.
Okay. And where was when these two police cars pulled up? You were the only person outside,
Yes.
and was your mom and everyone else that you've talked about? Were they all inside the house?
No, my mom was still in his car.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. So how did your mom get in his car? Where was she when this guy first pulled up?
He told her to come here.
Okay. Was she outside?
Yes.
What?
Okay, let's take a pause here.
Please, God.
This story is 100%. I don't know if I want to call it a lie, but
How old is she,
100%
Rhonda?
fabricated. At the time of the incidents, alleged she was 11. Now she's 12 years old, I
Okay.
think Tabitha said,
Or 13.
12 or 13. So if you're not familiar with the 3 alleged incidents of Tabitha Barnes, none of this makes any sense to you, or if you're not very familiar with it, because the reality is Scott Adams is talking to her about the events in the actual sequential order that they occurred. Is that the right word, sequential? Anyway, he's reminding her of these alleged events in the actual order of date and time that they occurred. On February 27th, at just barely after midnight, is the first time that Holtzclaw and Officer Venegas had the first encounter with Tabitha Barnes and Angela Cooper. And that was the night that they were allegedly sitting in the car waiting for the car to warm up and for food stamps to drop onto, Tabitha says onto Angela Cooper's food stamp card, which was in itself a lie because it was the 27th of February and their food stamps would not have dropped to their card until I think the 5th of each month based on their last names. So that was the first incident. In that incident, it was Tabitha Barnes, Angela Cooper, 2 adult women, Zion Barnes, and Zion's friend, Kiara Cooper, not related to Angela Cooper. And those were the 4 people sitting in the car. It was never Ariana Barnes, ever. But the way that Scott Adams is trying to tell the alleged incidents in order of when they occurred. Now, something that's you're not going to ever hear in the trial transcripts, to my recollection, and I don't remember it being brought up in the preliminary hearing last week, but something that you're not going to hear about is there were 3 alleged incidents. Okay, the 27th of February, just a little after midnight, when Holtzclaw and then Officer Venegas had Angela Cooper and Tabitha Barnes running them for warrants. It was after midnight. And that's verified via AVL. And by the way, I found Officer Venegas's AVL, so I can show that to you guys. But that was the first alleged incident when Tabitha Barnes claims that she was first assaulted by Officer Holtzclaw. During that first assault was when he allegedly, while she was seated in the back seat of his patrol car, was allegedly made her lift her shirt. Well, she never even says that he ever made her do any of that. She says that she just did it on her own. I mean, she says it every time. But that was the time that he allegedly touched her breasts, she lifted her shirt, her bra, and that he touched her breasts with both hands, skin to skin. That was the first incident. Then at a little after 10 o'clock, after that whole day has gone by on the 27th, a little after 10 p.m., February 27th, there was a burglary at Tabitha Barnes' residence. I think it was McConnell, just a little bit back, mentioned to Ariana, did she know who Raven Summers or something was? That's not something that you even know about unless you've read the police report, because the burglary incident never gets discussed in preliminary or trial, And that's the only time that there was mention of this burglary in which Raven Summers was involved in. That's a whole other story, but there was no alleged assault that occurred on that date later on the 27th of February after 10 p.m. because Officer Holtzclaw was involved in the burglary response. He's the one who found and arrested the burglar 2 blocks north of where Tabitha Barnes' house was. He wrote a report.
I thought the women ran him down, Rhonda.
They did. It was Raven Summers, Tabitha, Zion, and that might have been it. There might have been another. Kiara Cooper might have been involved in that one too. But yeah, it was Tabitha Barnes, Raven Summers, and Angela Cooper wasn't involved in that one. She was involved, 10 hours earlier in the food stamp ice cream event. So, that's, the girls did chase down the burglar, and they finally, when he ran into the tree, remember he turned around and to see where they were, and when he turned back around, he ran into a tree and it knocked him out, and that's when Holtzclaw pulled up to that scene and took the burglar into custody, and then another officer drove the guy to the hospital. But Daniel, from everything I have read, he writes a supplemental report in Barnes's police report, but it never indicates that he showed up to the house. However, Rocky Gregory in the police report takes it upon himself to put in there that the only reason that that Holtzclaw had intended to sexually assault Tabitha Barnes on that same night during that burglary call, but there were too many friends and family and other officers around, so he had to abandon that idea. And that's what Rocky Gregory says in his police report. He just Gregory just decided that that's what Officer Holtzclaw was going to do that night. But there was no contact. That was literally the second time that Daniel was involved in a call to that address, although he never showed up to that address. So
that's not when the door was open and he went inside. That's a third time.
No, that comes almost a month later on March 25th. So that's the day that he drives by the house, sees the door open on a house that, number one, he suspects is a trap house, but number two, on a house that he knew had been burglarized a few weeks earlier. So when he drives by, there's no cars around, doesn't seem to be anybody around. He goes into the home with the door that's open and to make sure that there's not another burglar in there or something nefarious going on. That is March 25th, shortly around the 9 o'clock hour, if I can't remember exactly the time, but around the 9 o'clock hour, that's when he comes in contact with Barnes's associate boyfriend, Terry Williams, the registered sex offender. He allegedly assaults Tabitha Barnes again on that night.
Were they coming home from the grocery store that night?
No, that's the other part. According to Tabitha, they had got her, Ariana, and her son Marcus had gone out to eat. I even think she said something like Golden Corral, if I'm not mistaken, in her report. And gone out to eat and returned home. And when they returned home, that's when they allegedly saw Daniel Holtzclaw sitting on the front porch. The guy, the African-American black guy, laying by the pole in her front yard. And um, Officer Holtzclaw allegedly tells her, I've been all up in your house, and he had gone into her house. But as far as him sitting on the porch when she waiting for her to come back home, I don't know. I don't see any evidence of that. I haven't been able to find any evidence of that other than Tabitha saying that it happened. Then that's the time when Ariana and Marcus allegedly told to go in the house by the officer, go in the house. Your mom is fine. She's not gonna, nobody's gonna hurt her. Just go in the house. That is the incident that they're actually, I think that Scott Adams is trying to talk about right now. The third alleged incident, there was no allegations of any physical contact on the third one. But Scott Adams is doing a much better job at keeping it all in time and date order than Giger or McConnell have done. McConnell seems to just be placating the little girl and just, kind of making up a story to go along with whatever the girl's saying, is what it sounds like to me. So it is really hard to keep track of the 3 alleged incidents had in Tabitha Barnes' story. It's hard to try to tell it all quickly. The last 4 episodes we've done, lay it out a lot better by Brian Bates. If you haven't, I've been trying to link those in each video as we've gone on, each live stream. But you definitely, if you can't listen to any of the other episodes by Brian Bates, listen to episode 13, because he lays it all out and explains everything and what he believes happened on all 3 occasions. That's as much of a nutshell as I can possibly turn this whole shit show into. So when Jack was like, I was like, yeah, I feel you, brother, because I know the story, and I could tell that it was that the viewers had to be completely confused. And the jurors, how could the jury possibly have been keeping track of this trial testimony?
There's no way. There's no way.
There's no way. No way.
I'm sure McConnell and what's his face were doing it on purpose too.
Well, they should have never put the little girl on the stand, because Rocky Gregory knew from the very first alleged incident, when he first had his talk with Tabitha Barnes, the recorded one, he knew then that Ariana had been coached by her mom about what to say, because he caught her. He caught the little girl. He basically says in that part of the interview, are you just telling me what your mama told you? Your mama told you to say these things, didn't she? And the little girl said yes. And so for them to even put this little girl on the stand was just cruel and a horrible thing for them to do to her. And it's clear she's not, at least from my perception, she's not very intelligent. And not trying to be mean, but she doesn't have very good language skills.
She's confused.
She's so confused. She has no idea what she's talking about or what they want her to say. And it's cruel, and it was wrong, and shame on Giger for doing it, for putting her on the stand, and shame on Rocky for allowing it, because he already knew she was lying. So anyway, I feel like that had to be done. We had to kind of stop and try to nutshell as much of those incidents as we could. We're going to finish with Ariana's testimony, and then her mother, Tabitha's mom, Gloria Prince, is going to testify. And I think we'll break at that point, and we'll finish, because Tabitha Barnes is going to come back at that point and come in and finish testifying, or not. We'll see. I guarantee you it's going to be interesting, but we'll save that for next week, because we're already running long. So we'll finish Ariana, we'll read Gloria Prince's testimony, and then we'll move, and then we'll break until next week.
Sweet.
Everybody kind of got a better idea, I hope. I hope
I,
so.
what you explained there is really kind of what I knew, but I knew it had to be confusing to those listening, especially if they
Yeah,
missed like any little part of this, because
right.
you drop any of it and you're just completely screwed on the timeline on what's really going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Even though I know that we've explained this whole thing with Tabitha Barnes multiple different times on the channel, um, it's still unless you stay on top of it, it's very difficult to follow the case unless you take the time like we did when I know Kay Cherie and I were researching this particular accuser. It took us a long time to finally figure out what the hell she was saying, and where the lies came in and everything else, because it wasn't easy to do. It was we had like pulling out calendars and times and clocks and everything else just to try to make it make sense. So it's not easy to do,
Okay,
but
let's get back to it.
definitely listen to those other episodes from Bates, and we'll finish up these transcripts for tonight. So carry on, Jack.
No problem. Thank you for explaining that. Line 6. Okay. Who else? What? That's what I'm trying to find out. Is and if you're the only one that knows, because you're the only one that was there. So when he first pulls up, who all is outside that you remember?
Just me. It was always just me.
She again contradicts herself. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Yeah. Okay. So when he pulls up, it's just you. How does he get your mom outside?
Because he tell my brother. He told me to tell my mom to come outside.
Okay. So Spike told you to tell your mom to come outside.
Yes.
And so did you go inside and tell your mom she needs to come outside?
Yes.
And you're sure that that's how that happened? It wasn't that y'all had been somewhere and drove up and he was already there.
No.
Okay. And so when your mother came outside, is that when she got into the police car?
Yes.
And you know where the driver sits on the police car?
Yes.
And is that the same side that your mother got in, where the driver sits in the
No.
back? I know you said
Yeah. In the back.
she got in the back, but if you're sitting in the back seat of the car, you can either be sitting on right behind that person who's driving the car, or you can be sitting on over to the side, what we call the passenger side, where no one can drive the car in front of them. What side was she on?
She was on the passenger side in the back seat part, though, like behind the.
So she would have been, if there was a driver in the car, she would have been kind of back over this way on the passenger side in the back seat.
Yes.
Okay. And the whole time you saw your mom in the car, was the door ever closed?
Nope.
Okay. It was always open.
Yes.
Could you actually see your mom?
No.
So do you know whether or not she was completely in the car, or whether or not she was hanging out of the car, or what?
Her legs was out the car.
And you could see that.
Yes.
And then, but did you, but you never saw anything that you thought was inappropriate. Would that be a fair statement?
No.
You did see something.
No, I didn't.
Okay. You didn't see anything.
No.
But then you said that after your mom came inside, she was upset, was crying,
Yes.
and she told you that she told you that he'd touched her body part.
Yes.
Okay. And now, have you had an opportunity since all these things happened to talk to your mom about these things?
I haven't talked to her about it.
You what?
I have not talked to her about it.
Well, do you remember the first time you ever did they? I think the only time you ever talked to the police about what you're talking about here today. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember that was? Do you remember when that was?
No.
Okay. Where did you talk to the police about this thing that you're telling everybody about today? Where were you?
It was like in her, like beside the car. She was still in the car, and it was like on the other side of the car.
Okay. Okay. I'm not asking. I'm not talking about Spike anymore. I'm talking about the first time that you ever talked to a police officer.
It was inside our house.
You were inside your house.
Yes.
And what do you remember the police officer's name that you talked to?
No.
Do you see that police officer anywhere inside this? Well, inside the courtroom, behind that wall over there.
No.
Do you remember ever sitting in a police car? Do you remember ever sitting in a police car out in front of your house talking about what you told us today?
No.
Do you remember ever sitting in a police car out in front of your house talking about what you told us today? Did I repeat that? Didn't
Again,
I? I'm
no.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes. That's okay.
Do you remember at any time any police officer driving over to your house over there on 15th and Jordan and wanted to talk to you about what you've told these people here today?
Yes.
Okay. And was that a man police officer?
Yes.
Okay. And was he wearing a uniform or was he just in regular clothes?
Regular clothes.
Okay. Was it this guy right here that you see talking, that you were talking to?
Detective.
Detective?
No audible response.
And is that, do you remember his name? Is it Detective Gregory?
Gregory. Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Do you remember talking to him?
Yes.
And do you remember going and sitting in his car and talking to him?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember him asking you what you saw?
I can't remember.
Do you remember during that conversation that he had to tell you that he knew that you couldn't see anything like that and that he wanted to know what you could actually really see?
I don't remember.
Do you remember him after doing these things asking you to tell you what your mother told you?
No.
You don't remember anything like that? Okay. Now, other than the two times that you said that you saw Spike at your house, you never saw him again, right?
No.
And I know when you say that no, are you saying that you did not?
I didn't see him since then.
And but your mom told you that she had seen him drive by your house some, but you never saw that?
Uh yeah, I never saw him.
And did you ever see Spike after that again, ever?
No, I didn't.
So do you ever remember him coming up to the house, knocking on the door, anything like that?
No,
And would in the living arrangements at the time, you and your little brother and your mom were staying at that house on 15th and Jordan. Was Alan also staying there?
no,
Was there anybody else in the house other than you and your little brother and your mom?
no.
You talked about, do you remember Terry?
Yes.
And did Terry stay there too sometimes?
He only stayed there one day, one time.
And do you remember when that was?
No,
And when you say he only stayed there one time, is that just all that you recall?
yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Barnes. You can step down and Mr. Giger will show you the way out.
We have another witness. Will be relatively shorter than this one.
All right.
If you want to do another,
Yeah.
Gloria Prince, Judge. Judge, she's a visual impairment, so I'm going to help her get into the witness box.
All right, ma'am. Mr. Giger is going to help you into this chair. All right, Ms. Prince, we're going to pull a microphone right around in front of you. If you would tell us your name and spell it for us, please.
Gloria Jean Prince. Gloria Prince.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're doing a great job. Mr. Giger, you may proceed.
Thank you,
And
Judge.
Oh, sorry.
No, I lost my place. Miss Prince, do you have a daughter by the name of Tabitha Barnes?
Yes, I do.
And you have other children as well, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you also have some grandkids?
Yes, I do. Great grandkids too.
Is Ariana one of your grandkids?
Yes.
Zion one of your grandkids?
Who?
Zion?
Yes, she is.
Marcus?
Yes, he is.
All right. Ma'am, I want to turn your attention back, if I can, to some conversation you had with your daughter, Tabitha.
Yes.
Was there a time, ma'am, when you remembered Tabitha talking to you about a police officer who was coming around her house?
Yes.
All right. When she was talking to you, ma'am, do you remember the time period as to when that might have occurred?
I can't recall the time.
Was your daughter living up here in Oklahoma City at the time?
Yes, she was.
Do you know where she was living in Oklahoma City back then?
On the east side, someplace.
Okay. Had you ever been to her house and visited?
Yes, I had.
Okay. If I told you around the Northeast 15th Street and a cross street named Jordan,
Yes,
does that sound familiar to you?
I recall that.
Okay. Do you remember what color the house was?
Probably white.
Okay. Could you see very well back then either?
No.
Okay. So you weren't living though in Oklahoma City at the time. Do I understand that?
Not at that time. No.
Okay, were you living at that time? Where were you living at that time, ma'am?
I was in Arlington.
But would you on occasion have conversations with your daughter Tabitha over the telephone?
Well, yes.
All right. And was it during these conversations over the phone that she began to tell you about the police officer?
Yes.
Did that happen on more than one occasion or just one occasion?
More than once.
All right. Was there a time, ma'am? Let me ask you this question. And if you don't understand, tell me. I don't want you to tell me what she said, but when she talked to you about this police officer, was it something that had upset her?
Yes.
All right. And did you talk to her and give her some counsel about that police officer?
Well, yes. I told him the police officer quit harassing my daughter.
That's what you told your daughter to say?
Yes.
All right. I want to turn your attention to one day in particular, ma'am. Do you remember a day whenever you were talking to your daughter and it was brought to your attention that that police officer was in fact there with your daughter while you were talking on the phone to her?
Yes.
Okay. And that at that time, ma'am, you were living down in North Texas area?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall your phone number?
No.
Would it have been a 817 area code number?
Most likely.
Ma'am, if I tell you a number, would you tell me if you remember it or not? Okay. 817-419-2469. Do you remember that telephone number?
Not really, but I'm sure it's mine.
Oh, okay. But you were down in the North Texas area, and do you remember you had an 817 phone number?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, do you recall what time of day it might have been that you were on the phone with your daughter?
No, I couldn't recall that.
Do you remember that your daughter though, you remember it happening and the police officer coming up?
Yes.
But tell me how you knew that. You knew the actual police officer was there.
Because my daughter said so.
Oh, your daughter said so?
Yes.
Could you hear the police officer over the phone?
Yes.
You could actually hear his words?
Yes.
Was it a male voice?
Yes.
Tell me about the conversation as that came up. What were you saying to your daughter, and just tell me what was going on that caused you to let me ask a better question. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
I need to ask things in the right way, so let me try to do it the right way. Whenever your daughter told you what was going on with the police officer coming up,
Yes.
based on what she said and based on what you heard the police officers say, did it cause you to respond?
Well, yes.
What did your daughter say, or what did you hear the police officer say?
He said, come on down here and get her.
Now that's the dog snoring. Okay, well, tell me what that in what context did he say, come on down here and get her? Tell me what was going on.
Where are we?
Line 9.
Oh, The conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's what he said.
Okay, what had happened before he said that? What help me understand why he was saying tell her to come on down. What did he
He told me to come down and get her.
Okay, so you understood him to be saying that to Tabitha, but for Tabitha to tell you that?
Yes.
Why did he say tell her to come on down, ma'am?
I don't know.
Had you heard what Tabitha had said to him before he said that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, based on your memory, Miss Prince, do you remember if it was a cordial conversation or was it an unfriendly conversation?
Well, most likely unfriendly.
Okay. And tell me why you remember it being that way.
The way he spoke.
You felt like he wasn't being friendly?
Exactly.
Did you say anything in response to that, or did you react anyway in response to that?
I can't recall to that. Has been a year ago, hasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I can't recall word for word.
Well, whenever you heard the police officer say those words, was it your understanding that that is the police officer that your daughter had been complaining to you about?
Oh, yes.
And why did you make that conclusion?
Because she told me.
Well, what did she say?
She told me he was harassing her.
Judge, I'm going to object.
Hang on a second.
Pardon me?
Just a second, just a second.
Come out.
Again, Your Honor, it's clear hearsay. I object on those grounds. Also, I guess it's bolstering. I don't know exactly where they're headed with it, but there's nothing in the report that is reflective of what Tabitha told her mother in regards to identifying this officer. There's nothing. And I've got the report. I'll be happy to provide it to the court. But the question on the table right now is that what did she tell you to lead you to believe that it's just the officer she was having problems with? And what did she tell you? And I objected as hearsay.
What the report says is that Tabitha had told her mother that the police officer had been in her house without her consent. He went in the house unannounced. That was on prior occasions. One time, Tabitha called her up and said the officer was over and he wanted to search her house. Gloria was on the phone for that one, and Gloria told her that she didn't have to let him in or let him search. Tabitha was supposedly relaying the information, and Gloria heard the officer tell Tabitha, well, have her come on down then. So again, it's not offered for the truth of all that. It's why she said what she said, and then the context of that. And I think I've laid a foundation to establish that.
That's your what?
I've laid a
That is not what
foundation to
the woman said.
Nope.
I didn't hear that from her.
Me either.
Anyway, sorry.
Nope.
I've laid a foundation to establish that the reason that those statements need to come in as to why she was telling her daughter to do what she did and why she reacted the way she did as far as what her daughter told her. So I thought I'd laid a foundation for it to show the effect on the hearer, not for the truth of the matter asserted.
Well, frankly, Judge, this has really become a trial about hearsay. Because if we get an alleged victim up here on the stand, and then we have 4 or 5 witnesses who testify what this alleged victim told them, it's hearsay after hearsay after hearsay after hearsay.
All right. Well, my ruling as to, excuse me, this is going to be, I'm going to sustain the objection on the hearsay grounds as to what she said.
As to what
As to what
Tabitha said?
Tabitha said to Gloria.
Okay. Miss Prince, during the telephone conversation, and again, you've said this, and I don't want you to tell me at this moment what your daughter said, but your daughter had expressed concerns about an officer, correct?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
All right. And you've told me about the conversation. Then where you heard what the officer said on the phone during the context of one of these conversations, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
All right. Did it upset you, the things that your daughter was telling you?
Yes.
All right. You never got to speak to the officer personally yourself. You just overheard that conversation?
Line 17.
Right.
Okay, and
I
ma'am,
said
did
right. You hear me?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
No, it didn't
It,
come in the
I
first
said
didn't-
one.
right.
it, did,
I said
it didn't.
right.
Damn. Got it.
Okay, and ma'am, did you give your daughter some advice other than what you've already told me about what to do in that situation?
No.
Okay. Did you ever encourage your daughter to do anything about being there?
I told her to call someone, another authority, to give her some advice on what to do.
Did you have any idea as to who that other authority might be, ma'am?
Well, no, I just told her to contact somebody else because he had no right to harass her.
Well, after those events, ma'am, do you know whether or not your daughter moved away from that house?
Yes.
All right. Currently, ma'am, is your daughter residing in a house with you?
Yes.
All right. Trying to help her?
Yes.
All right. Pass the witness.
I don't have anything, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I can't see.
Line 15.
Okay. All right, Mr. Giger, could you assist?
I'll be happy to, Judge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 16 minutes after 12, so we're going to break for our afternoon lunch break. We'll be in recess until 1:30.
Okay. Excuse me. So we're going to halt the reading at this point, and and then we'll come back next week for for the testimony, for Tabitha, find out what's going on with her drug test, which happens to be this same particular day, and we'll see how that goes from there. And I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting for sure. So, yeah, there's just a lot of I don't want to call Mrs. Prince a liar or her mom a liar. Hey,
You're-
Mom, it's great to see you. I don't want to call her a liar. I think that she is somebody who just she just believed what her daughter was telling her, is what I really think. You know, and most of the time we like to believe that our kids are being honest with us, even though we know when they're being liars and drug addicts and whatever, you know, any other things that they might have going on. So I kind of feel like she was just believing what her daughter told her, and I don't believe that the encounter that they both claim happened on the porch that last day actually really happened. So, and Brian Bates has his opinion also about it, about that particular.
Didn't Tabitha tell Rocky that Daniel actually got on the phone with her mother?
Yeah,
I thought so.
yeah, she did. She told, that's exactly what she told Rocky. And also, you know, that's just more of Tabitha's lies. In her initial police report, she said that, you know, that she didn't mention anything about her brother being there, her associate boyfriend being there, and her daughter, Ariana, and Zion being there. She never said that anywhere, but then all of a sudden, in the, I think it's the preliminary hearing, we start hearing about, you know, all of these other events that happened on the last day. I call it the last day because it was the last day that there was any known engagement, I guess you could say, between Tabitha Barnes and Daniel Holtzclaw, even though Tabitha Barnes reports that during her preliminary, I think it was, that this happened in April. This last event happened in April, which we know is the 26th of March in reality, and that it was all of this, all of these other times that he just kept driving by and driving by. Well, I don't believe that happened, because if it did, I guarantee you that every time Daniel would have driven by her house and stopped, there would have been an AVL report for it. It would have been brought up. And we don't have any AVLs that show that for any time after the 26th. Also, it was June when Daniel was finally put on administrative leave, June 18th. Prior to that, in May, apparently, Tabitha had moved to Texas by then for a month. So that's also kind of up in the air because, you know, there's a lot of questioning that goes around when she actually left and how long she was gone. So it's really a lot of, this is just an entire accusation, accuser full of nothing but just lies and made up stuff. And it's really disgusting. And
He didn't touch me. He didn't touch me.
He didn't touch me. He did not touch me.
He got convicted of me exposing myself.
3 counts.
And how does that work? Because when you look at her, the way she says that, I lifted up my shirt. Did he tell you to do that? No, I just knew that's what I had to do. So I lifted my shirt.
She's a mind reader like Rocky.
Yeah, I guess. But the thing of it is that I just could never understand how he could be convicted on something that he didn't procure. Is that the right word? He didn't ask her to expose herself.
On the stand, though, she says he touched her breast, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yes, on the during preliminary for sure, and during the trial. Which we'll hear about next week.
Which is what the jury heard.
Yes. Yeah. Which is, and if you go back to that clip, and I don't have it preloaded, but You know, you can find it. It's pretty easy to find just in the video section of my channel. It's just horrible what she says. And when Richard Smith, Dick Smith, is questioning her about that, first of all, he is not on Daniel's side. He is all about Daniel being in prison, but he's defending Rocky Gregory and the city of Oklahoma during that deposition clip that we have. And he's like, well, wait a minute. You're still, even though, you know, you said here it says that you said he touched your breast with both hands, and now you're saying he didn't do that. Do you still think it's fair that he be charged with that? Yep, I do.
It was a mistake, though, don't you see?
Yeah, it's just disgusting. She's a horrible, horrible individual.
He said, so that was, so when your testimony at trial was a lie, that was a lie. And she said, what was a lie?
What was a lie? She gets all offended.
Right.
So he
Like
repeats her trial testimony to her, and then she's just adamant, well, he didn't touch me. No, he didn't touch me.
Yeah.
I exposed myself to him.
Yeah, very good, Kay. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna drop the link to the video, to the clip here in the chat, and then you guys can go watch it again. I mean, we don't see it, and that we've not seen it enough. We, like Kay, you know, she can pretty much cite it perfectly, and also with the right tone and everything. Anyway, that's definitely, if you haven't seen it or if you don't remember, just go listen to that little clip again. It's only not even quite 3 minutes long, so listen to it, and just to refresh your memory. And I wanted to say something really quick before I forget. I've been meaning to mention this for a while we've been talking about Tabitha Barnes, but I keep forgetting. But I want to share this with you guys. I hate ads. Hang on, and we won't read the whole thing, but I want to share this with you guys. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is a report from Arlington, Texas, and I can't remember the year. I want to say it was 2021 or, 2020. So in 2020, October 26th of 2020, this was a headline in Arlington, Texas. 2 women killed in family violence incident in Grand Prairie home, police say. Really, really sad. Excuse me. But this happens to be Gloria Prince, Tabitha's mom, and her sister, Tabitha's sister,
Wow.
Gloria Booker. They were murdered on October 26th of 2020 in Arlington by Jillian Johnson, 41 years old. Goodness. Pardon me. Anyway, it just is this is the lady who murdered them.
I think she was a boyfriend, or she was a girlfriend of their brother.
This article's very vague, and any information I tried to get since has also been very, I haven't been able to find anything other than when she was sentenced to life in prison. But she was apparently, this Jillian Johnson, was a roommate of Gloria, and so Gloria Prince is the mom. Gloria Jean Booker is Tabitha's sister. So Um, it's hard to keep the two separate, but anyway, they were all
God, they
living
were
together.
stabbed. Oof.
Yeah, they were stabbed to death, both of them. And this was what the killer ended up looking like, I guess, from the fight, because they, probably Gloria, the sister, probably put up a hell of a fight. She was young. She was very young.
You know I did. You know I kicked her in the fucking eye.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I've been meaning to for quite some time, and I just keep forgetting. But it's very sad. Gloria Booker, Tabitha's sister, happened to also be the person who was Tabitha's, what is it called? Power of attorney during the civil trial, when that was still going on.
Tabitha's
So anyway,
sister or her aunt?
Her
no, that was
sister.
Tabitha's sister and her mom.
Okay. Okay.
Tabitha's
So-
sister filled out her interrogatories.
Yeah. So it just really, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like Gloria the mom, Gloria Prince, just believed what her daughter was telling her. She didn't really know any different or didn't want to believe it. So I just thought that was a sad ending for them, regardless of who Tabitha is to them. It's a sad situation, a very tragic and gruesome murder for both of them. So anyway, we will get to the final part of Tabitha's testimony next week. I think you got a taste of the spice. You're on the uphill side of the roller coaster tonight with her testimony. And then next week, when it finishes, when Tabitha's testimony finishes, then you'll just be doing all kinds of loop-de-loos listening to that. Because it's definitely a lot of fun, I guess, is the only way I can say it, because it makes me so angry. Anyway, so that's where we're going to leave it tonight. And I thank everyone for sticking around for 3 hours and listening to the breakdown again. Please, if you haven't, at least go back and listen to episode 13 from Brian Bates' podcast. And it takes a little bit of time, but he definitely gets through start to finish with this entire accusation from Tabitha Barnes. With that, if anyone I want to say hello and thank you to everybody in the chat. I haven't been able to keep up with the chats tonight, but I thank everyone for being here and supporting us and supporting Daniel, and taking an interest in the case, and to help bring more awareness. Like I said in the beginning, please, like the videos, share the videos, talk about it, have debates, have good respectful conversations with people who want to, say something different, because he needs the support and he needs the encouragement and he needs the awareness. So thank you, everybody who watches and continues to watch, and who watches on replay. I will turn it over to starting with Susan, and going down through Cherie, for if any of you have any final comments you'd like to make for tonight.
I think I'm good. I think I'm talked out.
Okay.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Susan, very much. Okay, anything?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Okie dokie. And Jack.
Well, I think just briefly, I think it was good, that little pause, little break we took, and where you went through the steps of, these various events. I thought that was really good. Terrible. I mean, it's just a terrible read, because she completely flipped herself several times in her testimony. And other than that, same old shit from Galen Gigger. Same old crap.
Yeah, it's true.
And-
It's true.
And just a quick plug for open mic. We're going to be doing it for Saturday and Sunday because Doc and Neverly are not ready to start with the new Reading with the Crew series yet. So I'm just gonna go through more dispatch calls Saturday and Sunday. Now,
Double
CM Central.
I said double feature.
That's right. That's right. A double feature.
Cool.
Anyway, thank you very much.
All right. Oh, thank you, Jack. And just I did you a favor and I muted you at one point. So because we thought it was the kind thing to do.
You were
Appreciate
fired.
We thought it was Kay's dog, actually. Snoring.
Appreciate that. And, I feel bad for her dog.
Not sure which one's louder.
I think it's Sam for sure. He's
Yeah.
loud.
Oh, yeah. Kay's right. It's definitely Sam.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, God.
He sounds
right,
more
thank
like
you.
a pig.
Well, thanks, Jack. I appreciate you coming in and streaming on Foul Play as well.
You betcha.
It's always helpful. I always appreciate it.
You bet.
And all right, and Cherie.
Thank you. It was interesting and informative and infuriating. So all of the above. Thanks.
Yeah, for real. Okay, we're gonna end it there. And with all that said, again, one huge giant thank you to all the new members who've been joining lately and subscribing to the channel and listening to what we're presenting. Spread the word, and we will be back next Thursday at 5 p.m. Central for the remainder of Tabitha Barnes testimony under oath. And until then, peace out.